StayOnTheCourt.com podcast, the show that helps aging basketball players stay on the court and continue playing basketball or the sport that they love. We talk injuries, rehab, coaching youth sports, pickup game mishaps, and oh yeah, that guy in your court that wants to fight everybody. Our motto is, we don't stop playing because we grow old because we stop playing.
SF Hoops, I would say, is a basketball league for folks who work in tech in San Francisco and across Silicon Valley who say they can hoop but have nowhere to prove it.
Those moves were like the Euro step. Nobody did a Euro step in 1987. I mean, that wasn't happening.
This league started out as a labor of love, and it's turned into, by far, my biggest business generator. Yeah, we got to play with Mr. Beast. It was so cool. We have a saying, though, in the league that the best ability is availability. And a lot of these folks have other lives and jobs and families and are...
Welcome to the StayOnTheCourt.com podcast. This is your host, Troy Wallace. As usual, recording from the beautiful studios in Omaha, Nebraska. Our guest on this episode is Reuben Torenberg. He's the founder of SF Hoops, an invite-only basketball league for Silicon Valley high-tech workers in the heart of San Francisco. His 9-to-5 gig is a real estate broker in the very expensive Bay Area commercial real estate market. I came across what Reuben was doing kind of by accident while listening to the My First Million podcast with Sam Parr and Sean Puri. That's one of my favorite business podcasts. There's business, they're funny. And Sean, who's the co-host, is a huge basketball fan and plays in Reuben's league. And so one thing in kind of honor of My First Million, they have something called the Gentleman's Agreement. I'm going to steal it today. And the Gentleman's Agreement, if you are taking in this free episode and podcast, if you could, go over to YouTube. You can just plug in Stay on the Court into YouTube. We'll come up and just give us a quick subscribe. We would certainly appreciate it. We're trying to build our subscriber account there. Getting back to the show, there's so much good stuff in this one. Reuben's love for the game just flows. You can see why he's a good commissioner of his league. Once we get into the speed round, which you're going to find about the 22-minute mark, which is always fun, he puts on display this incredible, almost encyclopedic knowledge of basketball. And he's mentioning NBA games from 2000, and he's a younger guy, and I don't think should be able to remember things from that far back. He played in high school. I have some fun stories about a game-winning shot in the state tournament. We also talk a little bit about his opportunity to play in what's called Club MFM, which is Sean Puri's basketball event that he puts on. You got to play basketball with Mr. Beast amongst a lot of other business celebrities. I introduced him to Dude Perfect's video on basketball stereotypes, and we weave that into the speed round. Also, as I said, he is in the commercial real estate space in San Francisco, and this just talks to maybe why he's got such an encyclopedic NBA memory. I think he's just kind of a human calculator, and he actually does on-the-fly commission calculation for some prime San Francisco real estate. Again, we're just hitting it out of the park with another great guest and a fantastic person. I honestly, when I reached out to him, I didn't even expect to get a response. Got the response, and we had this set up within about 5 to 7 days. So just fantastic get. Let's get into the 3 gigantic things you're going to learn from this episode. Number 1. The positive impact founding the league has had on his real estate business. Number 2. How he got the league started and all the tools and tricks he uses to run the league. You need to hear about some of these advanced cameras that he uses to do clips and highlight reels. And this is somebody, if you're organizing your own league, this is a great little tweak. So he has a special way he does the league scoring to determine who gets in the playoffs that keeps everybody engaged through the whole season. That is fantastic. Number 3. He is a younger guy, but he does share, some protocols that he uses. It's called functional patterns that helped him bulletproof his body for basketball and get rid of a 10-year nagging battle with back pain. So again, he's not an older guy, but he still is able to share some things to help you battle your injuries. We weave in a lot of video footage in this episode, so make sure to go over to the YouTube channel to check it out. As always, the show notes will be packed again, and you'll be able to find chapters and timestamps as well if you want to jump around. I want to get you into the episode. My thanks to Reuben, the folks at My First Million that turned me on to him, And then also going to shout out Dude Perfect for, well, technically they didn't allow me, but I did weave in a few of their clips into one of our speed round questions. So please enjoy this wide-ranging interview with Reuben Torenberg of SF Hoops. Reuben Torenberg, welcome to the StayInTheCourt.com podcast. We appreciate you being on. Just to set things up, and I will have already done your intro that people will probably already heard if they're listening. I heard about this league in San Francisco that you created on the My First Million podcast. And My First Million's my dirty pleasure. It's one of my favorite podcasts. And I heard about what you were doing with what you call it, SF Hoops.
Yep.
And creating this, what was staged as this really technologically advanced basketball league.
So I play in this basketball league in San Francisco. Shout out to Reuben Torenberg, who hosts this league. Reuben, basically, he runs the league with some real heart. And I really appreciate that.
And there are all kinds of things that I want to dig in on that. But again, let's just start out. Could you describe how you started SF Hoops and how did it evolve?
Sure. It's nice to be on. Thank you for having me. SF Hoops, I would say, is a basketball league for the tech founders or folks who work in tech in San Francisco and across Silicon Valley who say they can hoop but have nowhere to prove it. It started because we were pretty new to San Francisco, and my brother and I either worked in tech or serviced tech founders, and wanted a place where we can meet folks who play basketball or who love to hoop. As everyone knows, it's a little bit tough to find your way to the best runs in a new city and even in cities you grew up in. But once you do, it's a really special thing. And so we were in a run, and it was at a high school. We asked the athletic director if we can rent out their gym and if they had any recommendations for folks who get referees. We found some referees. We came to an agreement on paying for the gym. We paid for insurance, and we blasted it out. And we limited it to 80 players, 8 teams of 10. We tried to make it semi-exclusive. And, within a few weeks, we had 80 folks who worked in tech, and we were off to the races.
So in this high school gym, was it like in the heart of San Francisco? Was it in the suburbs, or where did you have to start?
Yeah. No, it was in the heart of San Francisco. It's called KIPP Academy. It was a high school where we would run with a select group of 15 guys who showed up every week to play on Wednesdays. It was really easy to get to. Folks did end up commuting from outside of San Francisco, the East Bay, the South Bay, the North Bay. I'm not sure how well you know the Bay Area, but probably 30 minutes to an hour out from all these locations. And if you were in the city, it's probably a 10-minute Uber from wherever you were. So it was pretty accessible. And we didn't really, filter out folks other than working in tech. So we had some studs, we had some duds. We had to figure out how to make teams. And I kind of played, the hand of God and just selecting you based on what you looked like on Facebook or what your height was and what you said your skill level was.
So they signed up, got 80 players, and then you selected the teams, or did you allow people to kind of self-organize?
So we allowed players to request who they wanted to be with. There were folks who would join as a group of 3 or a group of 5, and we did our best to accommodate those folks. But we made it very clear at the beginning that we don't make any guarantees as to what the teams will be. And if the teams are uneven, we will make trades. And so we made the teams, and every season, all 9 seasons now, it's ended up that there was one team that was just stacked and another team that wasn't very good. And we would end up trading someone from the stacked team to the not very good team. Some folks would complain, other folks would be happy. But it kind of was all par for the course. And, we do our best to make it competitive and even.
So you may not realize this, but you were basically Overtime Elite before Overtime Elite existed. For anybody who doesn't understand that reference.
I know one thing. I'm itchy for a heavyweight battle.
It's been on Netflix, and it's kind of the high school player development league where you just skip over college and go to, but yeah, they do the same thing, right? They have 4 or 5 teams, and if it's uneven, they just do trades, intercession.
Totally. I would take that as a huge honor. We know the founder of Overtime Elite, Dan Porter, very well, and he's an amazing guy. I'd be honored to be compared to him. He's a guy's a legend.
There you go. What I wanted people to take away from this is if people think about creating their own league, what are the steps? I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the technology that I think you guys are incorporating, which I think really enhances the experience. So I'm hoping that people can get some ideas for creating their own leagues in their own city. So I know not everybody's willing to do that. And as a matter of fact, we had Jonathan Dews on earlier this year, and he talked about like the change of someone's demeanor, and not in a good way, when you give them uniforms and refs. Sometimes it gets pretty rough. And I can see people getting a little chippy about, oh, I want this person on my team, or I'm going to, even when you play pickups, right? You got those guys who want to arrange the teams.
Totally.
So, but you said you didn't get a lot of pushback on that.
I didn't get a ton of pushback. I think some folks would express a little bit of frustration that, their team was stacked and then there was a trade, or they didn't get to be with the person that they wanted to be with. But I think we did a pretty good job at the outset of just setting very clear expectations that if you wanted to join this league, you were going to have to comply with whatever we said, because we did a little bit of extra work in telling everybody that we were going to curate this to be the most competitive and best league it could be, kind of a step above around us. We have Zog Sports or Volo Sports, or just the organized leagues with refs that you have here that are a little bit more national and popular. So we purposely organized it so that everyone knew we were putting a little bit of extra touch and kind of catering things to make it as competitive as can be. And so folks are pretty nice about it. And, once we pushed back the first complaint, I think there was one person who, in all 9 seasons, there was one person who quit the league and asked for their money back. And we've always had a pretty steady stream of folks who tried to get in the league, but couldn't because they didn't make it in time. And we just plugged one for the other. And it ended up being totally fine. It wasn't nearly as intimidating as you would think. And I would extrapolate that to starting the whole league entirely. You think you have to have all these ducks in a row and everybody incorporated and interested in the league and really good marketing and all that. And truthfully, I think if you just get a hoop and, a gym and some refs and blast the word out, people will join.
Okay, so here's a scenario, and man, I get way too deep into the weeds on these things. Things that probably never would happen. But let's say you've got your 80 people, or maybe it's expanded, and you're putting together the teams. 80. It's still 80? So I'm sure you have a wait list, right?
Yep.
And so that solves all the people
invite only.
Or all the people who are going to act like idiots, right? Well, guess what?
Yeah.
You're off the list.
Yep.
So let's say one of those 80 guys was a 4-year starter at a Division I NCAA team.
Yep, we had that.
What do you do with that? Does that, just somebody wins the lottery that season?
Sort of. They partially win the lottery, and then what you do is you trade all their other good players to other teams to try and even the scales as much as you can. We have a saying, though, in the league that the best ability is availability. And a lot of these folks have other lives and jobs and families and are busy. And it just so ended up that of our 6-game season with a 2-game playoff, that Division I player showed up for 3 games. That team went 3-3 and didn't make the playoffs.
Right. So what do you end up just doing like 8 teams of 10 players?
Yep. 8 teams of 10 players. It's a 6-game season. You play once a week, either on Monday or Wednesday. The top 4 teams make the playoffs. Monday is the final 4, and that same Wednesday is the final. One little nuance that I think really helped the league is the top 4 teams make it, but it's based on point differential. So every point matters. If it's a blowout, you keep playing until the end. There was a story this season where a team started 0-2. We made a trade, gave them a player who formerly played Division I basketball. They went on an absolute tear, won the next 4 games, including the last one by 63 points, SF Hoops record to make the playoffs, made the playoffs and made the final, and then lost in the finals in overtime.
Now, and you won this year, right?
My team won this year, yes.
Nice.
Everyone accused me of rigging the league as they do every season.
Well, come on now.
You just got to take it in stride.
I would say if you won the league 7 out of the last 9 years, okay. But, once
we
in a while.
3 times, my team.
Well, there you go. I think that's reasonable. And plus, I'm we're going to talk about your hoop style a little bit later, but I know you post and do highlight reels.
And highlight is a really generous term because you're talking about out of shape tech dudes.
Is that something that comes out every week?
Yep. It comes out every week. We record the games. I'll spend about 2 hours every weekend kind of going through the footage, selecting which highlights I want to be on the tape. And I really have gotten a little bit more strict or stringent about selecting highlights that aren't just a wide open three or you caught a fast break layup. I'm looking for a really nice pass or a really great block or a great move that led to a layup or a really cool hockey assist where the ball moved beautifully like the Spurs in 2014.
28 assists and just 10 turnovers. I mean, an incredible ratio. And look at that pass.
You just love the unselfish play by the San Antonio Spurs.
So I take a lot of pride in selecting really cool highlights, and we started a YouTube channel so that folks can share it. We started Twitter and Instagram accounts so that you can send the clips to other people. And it's become a really cool part of the league that folks have really enjoyed.
Oh, I bet. I mean, it's one thing just to play, and number one, just play with refs. As you become an adult, that becomes more and more rare. And then to just have that, I mean, my alumni tournament died 7 or 8 years ago, but somebody, filmed some of it in one of the last years, and I spent entirely too much time watching the highlights. Right. So how long does that take you? Is that something that you can sit down and get done in an hour, 2 hours, or is that you spend more time than you'd even want to?
I spend a little more time probably than I want to, and my wife would want me to. It's about 2 hours every weekend to go through the footage and select the highlights. And then I actually have now started to outsource some of the work, but not that. I still select the highlights, and now I pay my little sister-in-law, my wife's little sister, who's a video editor. Shout out to her; she's wonderful. To put the highlights together and make it a beautiful tape every week that I can share with everybody else. And then I spend probably another hour and a half or so on the recap for the week, where I go through every game, share what happened, who played well, who played badly. And I also, I do the scoreboard and the stats for every game. So the best way to get to know everybody, and, you get a chance to talk to all the players and, talk a little trash during the game. And I think it helps kind of set the tone for the whole league.
Right. No, I'm sure it's fun. So to facilitate all of this, I think I heard Sean Puri from the My First Million podcast talking about some special cameras. Do you use like a special camera to track all this?
Yeah, that's new. And I owe Sean a big thank you for giving me a mention. So the way this highlight started probably in season 3, I think. And what I did was I just got 2 old iPhones. I bought, $10 tripods off Amazon, and I would hang each one in the corners of each basket, and just press play. And then after the games, I would upload both of them onto my computer, and go through the footage on both sides and select which highlights I liked. And then this year, finally, after I got some sponsors and had a little bit of money to spend, I purchased this camera called a VEO, VEO, which is primarily used in soccer and is like the go-to camera in soccer. I actually saw it from another basketball league I played in, which was amazing. And they did an incredible job. It gave me a lot of inspiration. But this camera just it's really cool because it follows the ball back and forth, and has a really cool user interface that allows you to create clips and send clips. And it also allows you to share the entire game footage via a streamable link. So I could send the full game tape to Sean. He could go through it if he wants and, find his own plays. But primarily, I just use it to improve the quality of the footage, where it would follow the ball back and forth. I wouldn't have to do 2 cameras on old janky iPhones. And allowed me to do the highlights a lot quicker. I probably turned it from 2 hours to like an hour 15. And so that is really just improved the quality of our YouTube channel and given folks a better ability to share their plays. Also on the iPhone cameras, you can't really catch a coast to coast play. So if you got a great rebound and threw a great pass up court, like LeBron, D Wade, full court alley-oop, something like that.
His jump shot is off, no good. And Wade Baseball pass to LeBron. That
How
was
about
from
that pass?
92
One end to the
feet.
other. I mean, LeBron can go get it, but I'm telling you,
You couldn't really capture that on the iPhones, whereas this is a lot more professional.
See, I think I would like the old way better because my signature move is to make a great steal, go down for a wide open layup, and miss it. I don't want coverage of the other side.
They would only see the steal. They would only see the steal.
The steal, not the missed layup.
You got to give yourself some more credit.
Right. Well, no. Trust me. If you played with me
part.
for a while, you'd know. It's well known on my courts. But
defense is more important.
That's right. I listen to way too many podcasts on basketball, and I'm coaching, my 11-year-old's basketball team. Matter of fact, that's what I'm doing after we get done. Is I got some court time in one of the schools, and we're going to do some open gym this summer.
Amazing.
So I didn't do a lot of filming, but I'd heard about this app called Game Changer, and I heard about it on some other youth coaching podcast. I think they were a sponsor, and it was talking about how it had AI embedded in it, and it was going to capture the whole game for you. And I was like, there's no way. And so what I'm thinking in my mind is that it's smart enough to follow the action. It does not. Now, it is pretty good at like keeping the scores and making the scorekeeping easy and all that, and somebody could hold it. But I was holding up that holy grail of the perfect system that would not only film everything and follow the action, but also keep the score at the same time. But that does not appear to be quite there yet.
No, and the VO is not that either. I also was looking for that. And the VO does a great job of following the ball. That's really where it's bread and butter. But it doesn't keep stats. It doesn't track the score. You can't use it for points, assists, rebounds, blocks. I'm trying to figure out a way to do real stats, not just points, where I can keep turnovers, assists, field goals, 3-point percentage, turnovers, etc. So that's a future endeavor for future seasons.
Yeah, that's good. So you don't pay anybody to keep those type of stats?
No.
Yet?
No. I do it personally, and I just keep points because I also do the clock at the same time, and it's just too much.
Yeah, no. I would definitely agree with that. At some point, you just have to enjoy the game.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if I warned you about this, but I always do something called the lightning round. So I know we would have to get you out of here at a reasonable time. So we're going to go to the lightning round. And it's going to be 5 questions that I came up with. Normally, they are not offensive, but if there's any one that you want to pass on, certainly pass on it. I'm going to ask the questions rapidly, but your answers do not have to be rapid. So we're going to put some imaginary time up on the clock, and we are going to go to question 1. So I mentioned in the intro that you were in the real estate business there in San Francisco. And of course, San Francisco has some of the most expensive real estate in the world. So I'm going to put a little question to you, and you've got to make a decision. You can have one of these things. You can get a 2-week contract to play for the Golden State Warriors. I'm not saying you're going to play. You will get the money. You will get the experience. So 2-week contract to play for the Golden State Warriors, or the commission on leasing 2 floors of 101 California Street in San Francisco.
Funny that you say that, because my company's office was located on 2 floors at 101 California Street in San Francisco.
Well, there you go.
It's a no-brainer answer. Easily the Golden State Warriors experience.
Yes, that is the right answer. Now I'm just, we won't waste the time here, but I'm really curious about what the commission would be on the other scenario. But that's for another finance
Depends
podcast.
on the size of the floors and the length of the term. That's
true. I had some notes in here that, if you asked further questions, I'd allow you to choose the floors that you could rent, you could lease out.
Okay. Well, 2 floors. I could tell you the commission on 2 floors at 101 California Street. They're both, each floor is roughly 22,000 square feet. So it's 44,000 square feet. If you lease them for a 5-year term, it would be 44,000 square feet times 3 times 5, which is like 132,000 times 5, which is like 665,000 or something like that. But then your company will take fees, and You might split it with your team. So depends how much you take home will vary, but
Right.
the commission on that is roughly $665,000. And
Whoa.
Warriors is worth more than money.
The commission is 665,000.
Yep.
I'm in the wrong business. All right. All right. Before I get depressed, let's move on to question number 2. All right. You get to choose your 3-on-3 team. 4 players on the roster. You have to be one of them.
Okay.
Who are the other 3 players you choose? They can be current pros, college, or favorite players. Who would round out your team based on your skill set?
You have to have Curry on your team.
You do. You got to space the floor.
Yep. I'd put Jokic on my team. And my last one,
that guy's just nuts.
Yeah, he's going to get everybody open. It's going to be beautiful. And
It's
the
just
ball's gonna
unfair.
move like butter. And then my last one's going to be Rasheed Wallace, circa 2000. And he is like the beginning of my basketball fandom and just was overflowing with talent. And, you know, a lot of things not derailed his career, but didn't help him maximize his career. And I think that he's just one of the most talented forwards who ever lived. And so that would be my 3.
Oh, I like it.
He's the reason I'm a Trailblazers fan.
Really? See, now I'm trying to think. Did Rasheed, he played for the Pistons for a while too, I think.
Yeah, he got traded there in 04 or 03, but originally he was on the Blazers. And
Man,
that team,
you've got some deep knowledge for your age.
yeah, that team with Sabonis, the old Sabonis took the Lakers to Game 7 in 2000. They were up 13 in the 4th and then blew it.
It's Kobe again. A 20-point swing. Once down by 16, they lead by 4. Exactly a minute remains. I'm not sure if the Lakers won as much as they escaped, but they showed heart. Down 16, a huge comeback in the 4th quarter.
That is a deep memory. Yeah, we don't really have I was always a Celtics fan. Then I lived in Phoenix for 11 years and became a Phoenix fan, but I'm more of a college guy. But nice. Man, that's some encyclopedic memory.
Thank you.
All right, let's go to
a Cornhuskers guy.
Oh, of course. I'm what they call us J-skers. So I went to Creighton University. It's here in Omaha, but grew up in Nebraska. So you just live and breathe Nebraska football.
Awesome. That's awesome. I love it.
All right, let's head to question number 3. So, are you familiar with the Dude Perfect video that highlights the stereotypes of different types of players?
I'm familiar with Dude Perfect, but I don't think I've seen the video.
Okay. Well, they've got some stereotypes of these different players. I'll make a link. I've got them all listed on the standthecourt.com website someplace. But they're basically making fun of the different stereotypes you see in pickup basketball. So I'm going to list 5 of them, and I want you to choose the one that you would least want to play with.
1.
There is the my bad guy.
My bad, dude. Hey, my bad. Double coming! Oh. My bad. Sorry, my fault, dude. I'm sorry.
2.
The player coach.
Cut to the elbow. Go back up top. Banana swirl.
I don't know what that is.
Banana swirl.
3.
The rage monster.
No! Game time! That's game over!
4.
The tall guy that only shoots 3, which may be what I do.
Oh my gosh, you're not a post up! You're 6'6"! Put it up! Put it up! Put it up! No! Get down low! Woo! Let's go!
5.
The guy misses all game but banks in a 3 for the win.
Oh, you know that's what we want. Yeah, buddy. Better not shoot it. Mr. May. Boom. Game point. Hey, here we go. Game time. Yeah! All day.
Least likely is the question.
Least, yeah. Like who would you least want to have on your team?
Player coach. They talk too much and don't let their play do the talking.
You know, I put Rage Monster on there, and I thought that might be too easy, but I would agree. The player coach was the other contender that I thought you might choose.
Yeah, I enjoy the players who let their game do the talking. who move the ball beautifully. And then when it comes down to it and you need a bucket, they just somehow make the right play.
Yes, I always think that's the way I play, but I have had people tell me otherwise. All right. So I believe this is question number 5.
5.
If you could snap your fingers and make something easier about running your league, what would it be?
I think the biggest pain point is having someone go through all the highlights and select which ones work best. That's been always the biggest nag on the league. The rest of it is a joy. It's a labor of love. I love going to all the games. I love opening up the gym and closing it. I love getting to know all the players in the league, keeping the scores, writing the recaps, keeping track of, the standings and telling everyone how many points they need to get themselves into the playoffs. It's awesome. It's so much fun. If you're a basketball lifer like I am, I couldn't recommend starting a league more. I think it's easily the most fun thing I've done since I moved to San Francisco, besides meet and marry my wife. It's special. It's awesome.
So you didn't mention kids, so you may not have kids yet.
We're expecting our first in August.
Oh, congratulations.
So it will be third once that happens.
I'm just telling you, it changes things. So if you're not outsourcing the editing now, you may want to look at, yes, you definitely want to.
We're looking into it. We're looking into
some of that outsourcing.
The fall season will look a little bit different.
As a matter of fact, you can look forward to things like this, which is if everybody goes to YouTube, they can see my Father's Day gift, which says the world's best fodder, but it's actually a picture of a dad-looking otter. So
it's amazing.
Yes, excellent.
Happy belated Father's Day to you.
Thank you. All right. So I'm going to dig in. So let's talk about, I'm going to go into some more granular detail on the league because, like I said, I think I told you in an email, I'm jealous of the league. I haven't played organized with refs for 6 or 7 years since that tournament folded. Now I'm coaching, so I kind of get my competitive share there. But what's the ref situation? I mean, is there a pool to play from? Do you use the same refs for the league the entire time?
It's a great question. There is a pool of refs. I hire a close friend now. He's an older gentleman who has been organizing refs for leagues for probably 25 years. And he's got a pool of probably 15 to 20 refs who they alter and cycle between games. They're solid. I wouldn't say they're the best refs in the world. I wouldn't say they're the worst refs in the world. Folks complain. There's no avoiding it. Some fouls are not called. Other ones that aren't fouls are called. I've had only one issue where a ref stepped out of line and I had to say, hey, maybe let's not have this ref continue to ref our games. It's gotten a little bit too personal with the players. And you could argue it was also the player's fault, but neither here nor there. And so he's been an awesome resource. He's been super reliable. And having refs is important. I would say as long as they're not extremely terrible or unprofessional, I wouldn't care too much about the quality of them. I think it's more just that they have the right spirit and treat the players with respect, and that the players treat them with respect. So they've been great, and I will continue to hire this fellow Mike and let him handle refs for as long as he's willing to.
Yes. Well, unless you've got some of these players or, their parents are coming, the parents are usually the problem.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily, I mean, the players will jaw, yes, but oh my goodness, from coaching youth basketball, it's unbelievable how the parents will abuse these refs.
Yeah, I saw it growing up. It is not something that we have in our league, and it's not something I want in the future. So I do not envy that situation. And I've seen it a lot in high school basketball too. I feel for those refs and for the coaches.
Yes. Now, listen to the leagues I play in, and they're competitive. I play that I coach in. So I love the refs that will turn to the parents and be like, you want to come out here? And 201, that shuts them up because the people that complain the most are the ones that would never go out there and ref on their own.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a hard job. I really respect refs. They got a tough job.
Oh, definitely. So let's talk a little bit about how you got I mean, how did you develop this interest, love for basketball? Obviously, you're just demonstrating the deep knowledge with the NBA. What was it? I know we talked a little bit before we started the full recording that you had a brother that played. Was that what got you started, or did you see a particular game on the television, or what was it?
Yeah, great question. The short answer is yes. I think my brother said we were going to play basketball, and then we started playing basketball and both loved it and never really looked back. But I think there's a little more to it. As soon as we started playing, I think my brother is the type of person who goes all in on whatever he is passionate about, and had us doing drills that he would read in books in our backyard. Convinced my dad to get season tickets for the Nets when they got Jason Kidd maybe like a week before in a trade for Stephon Marbury, and they made the championship 2 years in a row. So I got to be around that energy. I always played in leagues growing up. I made all my friends playing basketball. I played on a really good high school team. My basketball claim to fame is that I hit the game-winning shot in our state championships. And it's just been the kind of thing that, everyone has their own thing that brings them joy, and basketball has always been it for me. It's the place where it's my happy place that, I don't stress that anything that is happening on the outside is immediately forgotten as soon as I play basketball. And, I made a vow to myself pretty early that I would play for as long as I could, because it's pretty crucial for my sanity.
Okay. Well, I want to talk about, a lot of things, but I got to go back to this. Let's talk about that shot.
Okay.
So you said it's in the state basketball championship? This is in New Jersey?
In New Jersey, regional Group 1 state championship. Yes. And we were up the whole game against the number 1 seed away in a very packed gym. And we went down 1, I think, with 11 seconds left. And the play was an out of bounds play at half court that was called for me, but it kind of went awry, didn't work. And I got the ball on the left wing, and drove past my guy and, kind of like mid baseline towards the mid corner baseline, ran into, their center who was playing Division I basketball, who ended up playing Division I basketball. It was like a 6'7" center who kind of stunted at me. And so I faked pass to our center, who was my closest friend, and then took the jump shot, and we made it with 4 seconds or 5 seconds left. And then they got the ball on and out of bounds and ended up getting a really good look, a layup that toilet bowled twice and went out, and we won.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm grateful for sure.
So are you still honored at your high school when you go back? Is there a plaque?
Sure.
Is there?
There's a plaque for our team. I think I got a shout out in the announcements. But no, there's no personal stuff. All my friends who are still my closest friends, whenever we talk about it, will show me a lot of love. I'll get a text on that date every year from a couple other players just showing me love and saying they're grateful I made that shot. But, yeah, it's got lost in the lore of our high school basketball. It's been almost 15 years now.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. Was that your senior year, or was it earlier?
My senior year.
Oh, man.
Got us a ring. It says captain on it. It's awesome.
So you want to keep playing, and that's kind of the goal of our show is, we want to, talk interesting basketball stories, of which I think your league is really interesting. But ultimately, right, we all want to stay on the court. Have you had any injuries that you were worried were going to be kind of career ending or keep you from playing, or have you had an injury that you come back from?
Yep. I would say the worst one was a shoulder labrum tear in 2016. I was a couple years out of college, and it popped out during a game. Someone put it back in. I rested for a month, played a little more, and then it popped out 3 times in the same game, and they said, you need surgery. So I had to sit out for 6 months, and certainly had some dark days there. I was afraid my basketball career was over. And then when I came back, I was pretty adamant about minimizing my weightlifting regimen to try and get bigger. And instead really focus on just trying to stay flexible. I got really into yoga. And I was in kind of a period where I would play basketball and then be really sore and then do yoga and feel better, and would continue on that back and forth. And the shoulder injury really never reared its head again, but I would always have a lower back injury that would come back at least once a year for like 10 years until maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, where I stopped doing yoga and I started doing a training called functional patterns,
Right.
which is really, I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a little bit niche, but it's a lot of like posture training, training all the small muscles in your body, a lot of core, glutes, hammy type of work, that helps basketball players avoid getting injured. And, it's growing in popularity. It also involves a lot of like foam roller. It's called MFR, myofascial release work, which is basically
Right.
foam roller, but with a medicine ball. And it's, I think, changed everything, and I have not gotten injured since. I couldn't speak more highly of it.
You know, it's completely underestimated, right? That it's the prevention pieces. And for most of my life, I did not do a good job of doing that. But I'm going to have, so probably, I might be released before your episode, but so you can go, people can look back in the episodes for Paul Vitelli. He played at Yale, and he was talking that he does a lot of what he calls prehab, and it's important. I've gone through like tendonitis, and I had a MCL problem about 18 months ago. I happened on to, the knees over toes guy stuff.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe I wouldn't have gotten injured anyways. But I mean, as I recovered, I just continued doing that program. And again, maybe it's placebo effect. Maybe I'm going to get injured on Sunday when I play again. But so far, it has helped. And just doing some base stretching, and I used to never stretch at all. It's just unbelievable how much it actually helps.
It's a story as old as time, honestly. I know so many players who've done the knees over toes program. That guy's incredible. He's doing a service for like the entire basketball community. And the functional patterns is pretty similar. There's a lot of very similar exercises in it. So yeah, it really all revolves around prehab and doing what you can to not get hurt. And, I think a lot of low weight, high reps training, is the best way to go for basketball. But that being said, everybody is different. And there's no one size fits all.
No, I think you got to figure out, but I think for most people, they just don't, it doesn't occur to them. You come out, and I was a kid of the 80s, and everything was get big. Nobody talked about like functional stretching or, functional weightlifting. It was all, hey bro, what's your bench? Right.
Yeah.
So before we get you out of here, a couple of things I wanted to hit real quick is, I think you're good to talk about this. I'm hoping to bring on several people that will talk about, playing pickup ball, basketball in general, and how it impacts, their professional or business life. So I know that you've organized this league, and it's become a little bit of a business. Could you talk a little bit about the business of making all the things work for the league, and then maybe any other opportunities that might have opened up for you?
Yeah. So in terms of the business of operating the league, I think, it's no secret. You got to put in some time and effort to show that, I call it the give a shit factor, or the caring factor.
Right.
Sorry, I'm going to curse. But showing a little extra love in the league, whether it's the recaps or the highlight tapes, or being there on a daily basis and getting to know the players and seeing how, they act, and asking them about what they're into, or taking their suggestions as to how you can improve the league, is to me like the secret sauce. Because you get to put your imprint on the league. It sets the vibe of the day. It sets the tone for how the players get along between each other. And so beyond that, I think, the logistics of it, you got to do what you say you'll do, and make sure that you're kind of true to your word on that front, whether it's getting the recaps out on time, making sure the refs show up, making sure there are no forfeits. That's always a challenge. And just keeping everyone organized, answering emails when people reach out to you. Just being a generally reliable person is obviously crucial. How it affects, or how it has affected me from a non-basketball league perspective is, this league started out as a labor of love, and it's turned into by far my biggest business generator. People like to work with others that they like. And through basketball, I think it's a setting where, I work in real estate brokerage. There's a lot of real estate brokers that, I compete with hundreds of thousands of folks who do the same thing that I do. And primarily their main tool of getting business is prospecting or attending events or, doing anything like that. And in those scenarios, people are on their guard. They know that someone is coming to sell you something, or, you go to these happy hours and you talk awkwardly over a drink, and, it's not, I'm sure it's a safe space, but I wouldn't call it a very open space where when you're going to a basketball league, you're just going to play basketball. I think all the guards are down. You get to really know what people are like. And your personality in a basketball court, in my opinion, and people will debate this, but I think reflects a lot on who you are as a person. And so I found that just like attracts like, and folks who share the same passion for basketball that I do are folks that I tend to enjoy spending time with. And as I get to know these folks, they happen to be decision makers at companies who need real estate. And through staying reliable on the league, being the commissioner, doing what I say I'll do, and kind of just generally delivering on what the expectation is, they consider me as someone who will deliver on the real estate side as well. And, have engaged me for real estate on 10 to almost maybe hundreds of occasions in my 9 seasons. And it's been by far my biggest business generator. And the folks who I work with on my team love it, think it's an awesome thing. And it's something that I do that other brokers don't. So we're always trying to look for ways to stand out. And, I found a way to do it doing something that I really love and care about passionately.
Yeah. I would say, ChatGPT is not going to be able to duplicate what you're doing anytime soon.
Not on this front. front. So,
well, it's
I'm very, very grateful for it.
You talked about people really getting a feel for your personality and what you're about. And I remember a story that, I'm trying to think, it was Michelle Obama's brother said about President Obama. The first time he met him, they decided to go out and play some basketball, a little pickup game. And he knew instantly, just by the way Brock played, all right, this guy's all right, right? So you can tell a lot by just how people behave on the pickup basketball court, for good or bad.
I love that story. I love that story. That's amazing. I never knew that.
It's definitely a good way to vet people. Now, on the flip side, obviously it can create some connections, and you can tell me if you agree, I do like sometimes going to the pickup games where I have played for 8 or 9 years with somebody and I don't know anything about them. I mean, I know what they talk about. I know we talk basketball, and then I'll find out that they're CEO of this company. And I was like, I didn't know. I know I can't give him baseline, right? But I had no idea about any of the rest of this.
Yeah. It's very accurate. I actually found that one of the guys I played pickup with, a very quiet guy who's awesome and a great player, was one of the founders of DoorDash. And I didn't know until I saw him courtside at a Warriors game on TV. And he's awesome. And he has this amazing lefty driving hook that I know him by. And now I know that he's, one of the most successful folks who I've ever met. So it's so true. And I think what separates the league from pickup is that, it's specifically like tailored for folks who work in tech to network with each other. So through a lot of the downtime when you're in the league, whether it's before the game or while you're on the bench or during halftime or after the game, as you're kind of just hanging out and getting set to go, people will ask the others about their work. And I'm actually actively working on trying to find ways to continue to promote that, whether it's, arranging mixers or events, after the season. We have an all-star game where the top 15 players get to play together, or sharing everyone's LinkedIn so that they can connect. So I'm thinking of a couple potential ways to promote that without sacrificing the meat of the league, which is really, the competition and, getting to play against each other and getting to fight for a playoff spot.
Well, maybe you could get Sean to raffle off a spot at Club MFM for next year.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I'm so jealous of that event.
I got to play in it this year, which is really special.
Oh, you did?
I did.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we got to play with Mr. Beast. It was so cool.
That's unbelievable.
And a lot of other amazing entrepreneurs who are wonderful people. So couldn't speak highly of all of them as well. Sean's absolute gem. He's the best.
Yeah, we don't want to go in a big love affair about it, but like I said, it's my thing. Like every time an episode shows up, boom, that's the first thing I'm listening to that day.
Sean's got a lot of game too. Underrated.
Yeah, I saw some of what I believe was your highlights, and you got some footwork. Now, do you go to the hoop? Is that your main game? Or you were sitting outside?
Yeah. I would say a little bit of all trades. I grew up a really small guard, and then grew like a foot at 16. And I went from 5'2", 90-pound guard to 6'2", 130 skin and rails shooter. So as I got a little older, I started to get a little bigger and go towards the hoop. But I'd say I'm like a 0.2 who guards a lot of bigs, and I do a lot of post work against smaller guards. But once the bigs guard me, I come back out to the three and use a little bit of speed to get past them or shoot threes.
I saw the footwork around the rim. That's right. And it's funny because I'm getting drills for my 11-year-old's basketball team, and so I'm getting fed all this stuff, and so now it's starting to feed me like pivot work around the hoop, and so now I'm trying to incorporate it in my game. And I don't know what it was, but maybe because I didn't play past high school, they didn't teach you those moves, or like the Euro step. Nobody did a Euro step in 1987. I mean, that wasn't happening.
That's newer. It wasn't even that big when I was in high school. But as you play, that's the stuff that keeps you on the court when your hops go down. But I'm trying to stay bouncy until at least 40.
Yeah, there's a guy that was on the podcast, Al Peterson. So he's a golf pro here in Omaha, and I was getting this show started. I wanted to feature people who'd been injured, not in a bad way, but like, how did you make it back? Mm-hmm. And he is probably an inch or two shorter than you, but athletic, and it's the same thing. And he just ripped his fibula. So if anybody wants to go take a look at that, the pictures are gruesome. He was good enough to let me show some of the pictures. But that's what he was so worried about, that a lot of his game was his hops. And now he was worried that when he comes back, those are going to be gone.
Yeah. I'm jealous. I'm a very avid golfer, but not nearly as good at golf as I am at basketball. So,
yeah, no, golf is not my game. I'll chase the ball every once in a while for a couple hours, but it's not good. All right, so I definitely want to honor your time and get you out of here. So, what are your future goals for SF Hoops going forward?
Yeah, it was a good question. I gave it some thought before we had emailed back and forth over the weekend. I think in the grand scheme, the goal is to obviously continue the league here. I'd love to bounce it out to a couple other cities where we can maintain kind of the culture that we've created around SF Hoops. I think there's a lot of positive energy in this league, and folks who are repeat attendees and who have created really deep friendships. But I think in the end, the grand goal is to create or purchase or build a basketball facility where I can curate the league, curate other runs, curate camps and the like, and kind of build the SF Hoops brand as a place that people can go at all levels of basketball to either get competition, get better at basketball, or just to enjoy the game that they love. I think it's for folks who just love basketball and really can't get enough.
Right. So I know that you might get part of the commission on a real estate transaction like that, so maybe we'll defray some of the costs. But is that even realistic in San Francisco?
I think I'm still figuring that out. I think it's realistic at some point in some areas of San Francisco. It takes a lot of capital,
right,
and the right opportunity and a lot of time. So maybe we'll have to go to some outside capital for it. But yeah, they're within the realm of possibility. And if it doesn't happen within San Francisco, it could happen, somewhere around the periphery. But yeah, I don't think it's unrealistic at all. I think that's the dream, and we're going to chase it.
Hey, I think that is a fantastic goal. All right, Reuben. Hey, I certainly appreciate you being on the call. So many points of jealousy on my side. I certainly didn't think that you would have gotten to Camp MFM. I love the league that you're playing with refs and what you've done. So hopefully this inspires some others around the country, to get something like this going in their city. So I really appreciate it. If people wanted to reach out to you I know you've got quite a waiting list for your league, but if they wanted to reach out to you for real estate or anything else, where's the best place for them to go?
They can look up my name on Google and find my email, or they can go to my Twitter account. They can go to the SF Hoops website, sfhoopsleague.com, or they can check us out on YouTube at the SF Hoops YouTube channel.
Awesome. Hey, again, we really appreciate you being on the show. For the rest of the StayOnTheCourt.com community, we'll talk to y'all later.
Thanks so much, Troy.
Here we go.